You don't have to worry, I'm not having a garage sale, I'm not selling all my kit and giving up my photography completely. I'm going to try and do this video just in one take if I can, and go right the way through it. Partly because I'm really busy today and I need to crack on with some of the things. So you may ask, why have I got everything out here? So let's tell you what this is all about. A few years ago, obviously I decided to start taking photography much more seriously, in fact many years ago, and that always involves working through various different kits and changing, upgrading your gear. When I moved into digital, originally I had a cropped framed camera, and then eventually decided to go up to full frame, and then I needed to consider my lens choices and options as well. So I'm going to talk you through that upgrade process and what I did, how it sort of influenced and affected my my aviation photography, because this is where the biggest problem was. So originally I had a Canon 7D, it's a cropped frame camera, really good, worked exceptionally well for me and produced some fantastic images, and I still use it today, and it works really well. It's a lovely camera to use, not only the quality that it produces but also the camera in operation, the holding of it, the handling, the features that it's got are really good. So originally I had this fitted with a Sigma 75-300 apochromatic lens on it, a budget lens which did well for my aviation photography for a while. When I decided to upgrade to full frame, I know that I would have to sort of change all my glass, all my lenses as well. So I started with the lenses originally. So I changed from the Sigma 75-300 to the Canon 70-300 L series lens. Picked it up at a real bargain, bought it second hand. I'm never afraid to buy second hand glass if it's in good condition, and got a really good deal on it. And these two coupled together, and I'll put a picture up on the screen, and these two coupled together worked exceptionally well for me, and I got some really good results, and I'm going to show you some results of my photography, aviation photography, during this video. So jump forward now again, another 12 months down the road, and it's time for me to upgrade to full frame. So I upgraded to full frame camera. So I bought the Canon 5D Mark IV. I'd considered a few options, and one of the reasons which I didn't upgrade sooner was because I was waiting for Canon to release their range of mirrorless cameras. And the reason I wanted to do that is because, as you know if you follow my blog and my vlogs and everything on my YouTube channel, that my main love is outdoor and landscape photography. So I tend to use, the smaller lenses and things as well. And obviously carrying that over large distances, over Dartmoor, or the Lake District, or the coast, or whatever, can be quite tiring and quite difficult to do. So lightening the load and going down to a mirrorless camera would seem like the obvious choice. But I needed to understand that I couldn't afford to have one camera for one job and one for another, because this is an expensive investment. So the reason I didn't go for the mirrorless camera was quite simply that I didn't think that the autofocus system and the way in which it presents the information through the electronic viewfinder worked. Don't get me wrong, I think the autofocus system and everything on the new Canon mirrorless cameras are absolutely phenomenal, and they would be fantastic and great if I was just doing my landscape photography. But I think by doing the aviation work as well, the way it displays the images and the rate at which that works, and the way the shutter speed slows down, meant that really it wasn't going to work. I really had to go for and use a full frame camera. I'm looking around because I think it's going to start raining. So along came the 5D Mark IV. 5D Mark IV gives me less reach. It's obviously a full frame camera, and going from a 300mm and a full frame, from a crop sensor to a full frame, gives me significant less reach. Now I could zoom in, I could crop in a little bit, but in some ways that kind of defeats the object of going for the full frame to get that extra image quality, and then chuck half the pixels away because you're cropping in. So I needed to go for another lens setup. So enter the Sigma, the 150 to 600mm lens. I've now used this lens on probably 2 air shows and 1 other shoot where I was photographing a low-level sortie, and it's performed really well. I'm still getting used to it. I'm still learning its little quirks and how to handle such a large lens easily, because when you actually look at it fully extended, it is a considerable amount of weight there, but it does work really well. I'm going to show you some examples of the pictures that I've taken to date with this lens at the end of the video. The other thing I want to add just before I sort of call it a day for it is that it's the way that I did this is I've managed to get it at a really good price. It's a real good value lens that you can have, and I'll put some links to it in the descriptions as well. But you can get it at a reasonable price. It gets really good reach. I went for the contemporary version. I could have gone for the sports version, but the sports version is pretty much twice the price. The reason I went for the contemporary version is optically there probably isn't a lot of difference. I have read somewhere that because the contemporary version is somewhat lighter, it's easier to handhold, easier to use in that respect. And if anybody's ever focused sort of like fast jets or anything, you'll know that hand holding really isn't an option when you're swinging a camera about at those sort of speeds. Sure, some of the props, helicopters, when you're trying to use really slow shutter speeds, I'll use a monopod, and that works well. But current setup for my aviation photography: Canon 5D Mark IV, Sigma 150 to 600 lens. Secondary setup which I've got, I'll fit the 24 to 105 for doing some of the static and ground stuff, or I'll couple this with the 7D, and that with reach of the 105 that gives me about a 150mm lens on there, so I can use that for some of the formations and things where I'm shooting closer to the runway. So that's my aviation photography setup in terms of equipment. Depending on how things go and what happens, I will either sooner or later, it could be much later, put together another video where I actually go through how I set up the autofocus system, how I shoot, and some of the techniques that I use. But I just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce you to my aviation photography on YouTube, because it's been all landscapes up to now. So I thought I would do it by explaining some of the equipment that I use and show you some examples of the images. So I hope you enjoyed looking at those final sort of aircraft images, and I hope to give you some sort of idea of the type of photography that I do and what I enjoy looking at. So hopefully that's given you some ideas. I'll call it a day for now, and I've got some packing to do. I've got quite a big trip coming up, which hopefully I'll get some more content out of and see you later. So yeah, that's it for now. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Help me out and subscribe. Don't forget the bell icon. Give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And most of all, get out, enjoy photography. Don't forget to comment below. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.